This is Gerald Johan van Waas and the educational channel of demonstrations regarding the sound informed theory and books that you can find about the subject. These books are an introduction. They are quite difficult to read. It's quite worked out how I come to the theory, but actually in the end of the day, the perceptive capacities that we have to remember words, to form words, to unconsciously combine letters in a way that they are a logical combination of letters that directs you into a certain direction, an adaptation. Actually, when you really understand how it works, it is like an organ to sense what is there in time and space, very basically. And it is, the whole theory is actually based upon an extreme simplicit idea that you can use to make consciously as well, that you can immediately pinpoint the combination of letters. When you know the basic scheme, just imagine that you use my basic scheme and then you immediately see, okay, I'm balancing these elements out and I know it immediately. It takes you seconds but I tell you how to do so. I will give you some examples of words that are slightly different: MIST, MAST, MEST, STIMME, STAM, FLITS, FLETS, FLASH, FLOSH. There are Dutch words, English words and German words, and they hang somewhat together. There's only one letter difference, and one of these words are in a different order. And by using the method correctly, you quite quickly know what these words mean by putting them onto the scheme. So the scheme itself is quite important. I will give you the scheme and I will tell you again what the scheme is about. This is the basic scheme. It's quite simple actually. Our mind cannot distinguish complex things too easily. As soon as there are more than 3 objects on the table, we are already going to find it already too difficult. 5 things, 6 things, 7 things, how many are there? We're losing it already. So 3 is the basic thing that the number 3 is the basic thing that makes it easy for our mind. And it's, of course, we can still use the numbering. The 9 numbers are also added on the 3 regions. There are 3 regions that makes it easy for us to associate differences. These regions are also different emphasis on the things that we see in reality. And what are these 3 completely different focuses on the reality? The first region is defining the positions, defining the objects, it's defining the points in space. It's defining the objects, how they look like. So also in 3 regions we would try to measure it. The 3 regions also can be maximum in 3 parts. So if you have the 3rd region, there is so 3 times 3 is really the maximum that we can handle to make our mind easy to relax. With 9 numbers our mind relaxes and it goes automatically. And these 3 regions within 3 are all always the same. It's the center point vision. It's slightly off focus, focusing on the material, and even completely out of focus, focusing on the edges, the periphery. How far can I use it? Can I use it? These are the 3 regions And in my first region, there are the spatial reference points. And I want to see the object as clear as possible, so I try to focus on the object by a couple of variations of letters that explain which part I focus upon. The next level, the next region will show you where objects are and thoughts are in a growth process. So it is related with time, it's in a growth process. We notice what is evolving, what is changing, what is, and so on. These kind of things on the time schedule. Also in 3 regions of development. And the last order is the reorganization. It's the full context, so that we can balance the things out that we have already and eventually give it a new balance. We adapt in the last region, we adapt, we feel how we have to behave towards what we see, and we eventually also make a move towards a change ourselves. So 1, 2, 3 parts, and the first region of space, it's when it's a neutral position, I use the color blue. If it is developing into a larger form, I use the color green. When it is a dangerous territory where it is it's breaking apart, there's some doubt, where I use the color red. I will use these colors everywhere. It makes it easy to distinguish in which position the developments of focus points are. In the second region, the same thing. So I will use green where it is fully developed, green within green, and red when it is changing position. And in the last category, there are, of course, we are changing the positions. So the changing position of E, for instance, I will not use all the letters, I will only use 2 letters in this video. The E is when it's already growing towards somewhere, we have a new idea that we can give it an order, and we take it, pinpoint it as a new middle point. The S at the end is the end effect after all the developments. This is really what we have at the end, and it's a loose end, so we can adapt and make a binding string and make a knot, let's say, with the E, and we loosen the knot again with the S. It's loosening our grip again with the S. So just the as 2 opposites. Let's go to a couple of words and go to these words as quickly as possible within one focus of distinction. We have the word MEST, which exists in English as well. It also exists in German, but that's has another meaning, but I will take the 2 meanings. So we will start within the first focus, which is focusing on what object do I have. It's developing, but it's developing to all directions, M. With the E, I try to adapt immediately with that. I can do something with it. That's my refocusing it. Refocus the E. I will try to adapt to it. M with E. The S is losing it again. It's losing my grip to it. And the T at the end, it's my point of reference that I say, okay, it has further developed, but I know what I have at this point. That's the MEST. Basically, our focus is looking for this balance, and it immediately finds this balance. Is it clear enough already? Maybe not, so let's simply take the separate objects and focuses together and adapt them to each other in the right order. And I'll have the M, the development of my focus points of all the material that is developing in the material world, in the three-dimensional world, in the objective world. The E is my focus that I try to adapt to and find my entry point, but I'm losing it immediately because of the S, and then I make my conclusion in the T. The conclusion, why is it a conclusion? The T is in the first region of trying to focus, and it's focusing on something that has developed already. So in the material, the T focusing on the features of the material. That's how I sense the material. And with the M, I can even develop the object slightly further. The M developing as a form in all directions. Adapted with E and S further, and with the conclusion of T in the end. It's about adaptation. I try to focus in the mist, and I can't. I'm losing my grip, and that's what basically the word says in most languages I know. It is the description of fog. In German, it's not fog. It is more like it's an association with crap. Let's say it's crap. I can't do anything. It's mist. So fuck it. I can't use it. That's what it basically says. But it's the same thing. So I try to focus upon something which is dispersing itself before me as mist in the fog idea, but also as a mist of that I can't do anything about it. I can't do anything with it. The E is the refocus, that I can do something with it. I can adapt to it in the general world of things that are, and that I can do something with it. An adaptation to all the rules that there are, the general rules, where I try to find an adaptation into it. That's an explanation of where E is used. So you have to read a little bit of my theory sometimes as well to make you understand what all the letters are separately. But basically it goes very quickly, and we go to the M, the E, the S, the T, and we know immediately, okay, I try to focus and I can't because of these S and T come in my goal of E. If I use a different letter, instead of mist I use MEST. And MEST is a Dutch word for dung. I have something completely different. And why is it so? Now, here I'm not talking about the E, the focus that I want to use something for it. No, it is about, it's at that region of growth, of everything which is changing, and it's still growing. It's still in a process of growing. So with the same thing, when the M is growing further, the M is the growing of material is even growing further, and it is losing itself, it's losing its group, it's losing its whatever it is, its material, its structure even. And there I sense it again with the T in my focus. MEST as dung is of course something else. I experience it different than mist. Let's take must. Ast is it's the expression is of course used as a letter in the word with the U, but it's expressed as so as a small association that you don't give it much more attention than needed, but it is expressed in letters as an U. It's in the first section, the section where I try to focus on the object. The object is in U, in the volume part, but it is in the first part, it's still in development. So I can't get a grasp on all the forms yet, how it is growing, how it is forming itself, how I can try to get my focus up onto it. It's still, this part is still in development. So if I put it in form, maybe it will be more easy to understand what is happening here. There's something confusing here, because here you have the M, the development, it's developing, you're sure that it's developing in all directions, that's the form that you notice, and then suddenly you say with the U, I only notice a part which is actually developing, I don't see everything which is developing, but because of the S, the effect that gets out of it, I still notice it, it is noticeable, I can do something with it, that's more or less what it says. So in a way it says like, yeah, whatever, even if I don't know everything what's underneath, it will come through it, it will break through, I will get to it. That's more or less what you have here. It's not clear enough from the scheme alone with the letters that are written down, and if I explain the form, how the form is developing, it still does not fully show what is happening in the letters, and it's because the word is also not expressed with U. So it gives me no other option than to explain the where is the in the scheme? The does not fit in the scheme, but it matters because that's what the leading force is in the word, even if it is written as U. There is also the which is there. Where is the used more often? It's more used written as an E. So as you can see, it's the same part, but it's already more pronounced. So it means it is already in development. So it is the material that I can use. It's still in development, but I can use it. That's the from the, for instance. I can use this thing. So even if it is still in progress, I can use it. But the alone as a sound is somewhat in the middle of U, E, and H. So the space where I'm sure that there is room for it and I can use it. I can use what is in development. This is the whole region of the same thing, but the emphasis is different. The emphasis actually saying like, okay, it's enough as a material. I can use it as a material. I can use it to reorganize it as well, to give it a reorganization. And wherever it is used for, it is useful. It can emerge. I acknowledge it that it emerges from here. Even that the background, a word which is written differently as it is orally spoken, as always this context of the written word is the context, and the context, the really context, what it really is, what I express it, what it is, and the sound that you hear is more like that's what is expected from me, how I behave towards it. So what is expected from me, how I behave against something which I don't see what is coming forth from it and what is having its full effect already that I can notice, I can use it. I must use it. That's more or less the focus of the orientation of these letter combinations. This was a bit more difficult. That's also why I have recorded this part in two parts, simply because I had to think it a little bit over. Why is that in the scheme? I didn't think about it before, but it is useful. It is useful in my quick thoughts. Where is it? Somewhere in the scheme? Is it there where I'm trying to get the focus on what is developing, or is it already full development, or can I use it already in full freedom? Yes, I can use it as material. That's the focus. That's the quick focus of the letter there. And that makes it different from the other words that I explained before. Let's now go to the next variation. instead of with the E, the E, or the U, I still have to go to the variation with the A, the word MAST. MAST, I think it is an English word as well, yeah. The MAST is just one letter different. The focus is here on the A. The A always is a real starting point. It is developing as well. It is in development towards a starting point, but it is a clear starting point. So I go with the growing form towards a starting point with a loose connection from there towards a point that I'm sure, yeah, here I can do something with it. So the MAST, so you have the M with the focus point, the loose ends, and the attachment a little bit. It's almost like an attachment there where you can use. I can even you make this useful because it's about an object. You have almost all the letters are about an object, so MAST should be about an object. This object, as you know, it's in a sailboat. The mast is a strong beam, not entirely in the middle, but it is attached. It's loosely attached with wires, and of course it should move as well. So this loose connection to where I can use it is also necessary. It doesn't have to have the strong point where it is attached. These loose movements are important there as well, that you can see in S. That makes the word fit with the association. How we name the object is the naming of the object is unconsciously, but they deal with what we need. We need an M for it, we need an A for it, we need an S for it, we need a T for it. We call it MAST. Just the other way around. Just not entirely, but in a different order. The letters in a different order. STAM. What does a STAM mean? Let's express. Okay, let's first see what it is about. Of course, it should be also about what is seen as a focus upon something which is a focus itself. So it should. Let's first express it, because before I say something wrong. So I have the difficult thing here is that it starts from the loose end. It starts from the loose direction, the S, the loose effect that it has, and then builds up further the focus point of what it has developed from there, with an A middle point, with an M the growing from there. So it is a loose direction. You could say, okay, shouldn't I have an object to be sure from there? We have two meanings of STAM. One of them is an object, which is the trunk, and that is it can be shown. It has this loose form that goes into a direction where 2/3 there is the T, the A over it, and the M growing in it. So the growing over the full trunk can be expressed that way, but it grows from one point, pinpoint projection, attention. It is a point of attention is followed by something that grows from there, and that's how it also has been used as unconscious association for the word tribe, because that's also what it means. It also goes with a loose direction of its own, but once you have a center point, everything grows from there. STIMME, the German word which means voice, has this similar letters, but the order is shifted. The M is double. There are so also there it starts from this loose direction where it will go to. It will pinpoint something that you can use. You will insert this usage for whatever use you want to have it. This double M is the growing part, and then the A, which hasn't been expressed, is the enlargement, the direction, all the directions that come forth from it. If you draw it, it is much more easy to understand, and it could almost express the vocal foundations of expression of air and the interactions of the M. You see these M's is almost like the voice is spoken from there. The A is getting directions, is like the energy that goes into all the kinds of directions and gets formed there, and is getting also a real growing form from there, but it is not expressed vocally, this A, it's just STIMME. But you can understand it, so in a very easy way you choose the correct letters that fit together and they express that word. You also have STUM for instance as well, which actually has the U as an undeveloped part, which is still in development, so it's the formation which is in development, the U, it's always expressed and associated like that. And because of that, and you let it grow from there, it grows a bit, it grows a bit dump actually. It isn't growing, it's just growing into one direction, an undeveloped direction, let's say. That's what STUM also means, mute. Mute is one of the things. Is it very clear in this case? No, but you can see the difference between the Stimme and the STUM. STUM is limited because of the U. It's limited, so there's a part that is not developed. It's that not part in U, which is quite often used in that way. The U and the N are often also used for the things that are not developed, are not seen, are not in full development. But you can emphasize on that part as well. But then you have to understand the letters a little bit. So it's not too much that you have to learn actually, but you have to go through a lot to make the association. In the end, you make the associations more easily. So mute. Okay, go to the last couple of words. I have here FLITS and FLITS to start with. FLITS means actually a flash of lightning. So the F is in the growing part. It's the starting point. And the growing part is at the edges. So it is growing already in loose directions. It's not really sure in what directions it is. It's already growing into spreading out to all directions. The L focus is my focus upon what is happening with the material. The E is of course refocusing everything into one position where something can be done with it. The T is my focus on, I know that it exists, I can do something with it, I notice it. And the S is the loose end at the end. Is it already understandable in these combinations what FLITS or the flash of lightning, how it is expressed? Maybe not. So let's express it with the forms that to guide us. So we have, of course, the F. It's at the edges, somewhere at the edges actually. The L, the E, the T, and the S. In fact, it is at the edges, as I said, the F, but it's also loosely going in different directions. So let's express it a little bit more clear that it's already going in different directions. It's maybe even better to turn it upside down to show you also the flashing light. The flashing light which goes into one specific direction of E, which is a chosen direction where everything is resumed, and it has a loose effect at the end. So the lightning is expressed by these forms that loosely hang together and still find a way in one direction and have a loose effect at the end. That's the FLITS or flash. There's another word which has only one letter different, and it's entirely different, because FLITS is a flashing light, which is lightening everything, which gives away all the energy into one direction. FLETS is absolutely the opposite, and it's just one word, one letter difference. And you should wonder, so why is this so? It's because also here it's in the first part of what is developing. It's developing, or the part that is growing further is there. So that's the difference. The A is different. So what do I have then in FLETS? Of course, the T is what I will notice. So that's one. The L is what is developing. The F is also the development, but it's the development at the edges. It's somewhere at the edges, which is already going in different directions. So let's express the letters one by one and connect them. So I have the F with L at the edges, growing in different directions as well, growing in different directions. The A is an enlargement, so it's still in development. This enlargement is not consistent, so the inconsistency of F, of going already in somewhat different directions, it has to be enlarged in the growing process itself in A, so I have even more of the same kind. That's what A does. It's always adding more of the same kind in development, in slow development. As you have here, you have the FLE. Then you have the T as a next letter. The T is my connection to it, what I notice. I am sure that I notice something. I know what I have. I know what the features are. I recognize it. That's the T. I recognize what is there. What do I recognize there? I have the end effect, the loose effect of S. And if I have it there, by the spreading light, which is spreading more and more and more and more, I don't have this flashing light direction anymore. This whole lightning reflections go in so many directions that it has grown pale. That's why FLETS with one letter difference has completely, entirely different meaning. I end with the two English words that are connected with FLITS, which is flash, and I compare to flash. Let's go to flash. Flash, of course, we know it starts in the middle part in this growing energy that goes in directions. The L after that is growing. Now I can see it. I can see how the elements are growing. The L, I see the elements. I see my focus on the elements. I see the elements growing. I see that these elements are growing from a center point of vision, and then end it with S with a loose effect and with an H in a spatial environment where it is connecting the dots. So when I draw it, it's this loosely, I have it, the F, this loose directions that get more form, that get my focus. And actually the flash is in a spatial area. The H is a spatial area in which it is expressed in the loose ends. So the flash is also the flashing light, different from the flashing light of FLITS. FLITS was completely focusing on this energy into one direction. Flash is not doing that. This flash, as you can see, when I looked up the word flash, I simply always type the word and then I add the word vector to it. With the flash, you always see the lightning bulb around it as well. With the light, with FLITS, you only see the lightning itself, but here you have the whole full spatial environment of the light as well. So that's what the difference is between FLITS and flash. The flash is really the whole range of space that is filled up with the light, and that makes it different. Why it ends with sh, with this sh. The sh has the range of area in which the loose ends are connected, and these loose ends are expressed already previously. What it is, how that something has been grown. So it doesn't say that it is a light or something, but it says something about a focus. This focus is within dispersing of not light eventually, but it's dispersing focus from something which is growing, which is enlarging, and it is dispersed over a space with the effect over a space. It doesn't say much more than that. You can't associate all elements and all things with it, but that's the foundation where the word is used. And the end with flosh. A flosh is a tassel. So you already hear it also that it's often expressed with S and G instead of sh. That's loose end again. So also the G is very loosely evolving towards a new direction. That's the G. The S is also very loose. The H is the space that we know already. We don't necessarily need the spatial area in it, but we have a different focus here. The middle letter is the O. What is the O? Mostly it's about something which is in an environment. It's developing the form in a full growth process in an environment so that it can be associated with a lot of things in that environment, mostly in a process that you are involved in it. Is that always necessary? No, but it's teasing to do so. Everything which you have in an environment and you're connected with it, you can engage a process to make that connection there in that environment. That's how these environments are used. It's not space, it's an environment connection. That's how the O is used all the time. This is just a little bit background. It helps you, it helps to guide you. Let's also express it with forms, of course. Let's have a look. I also expressed it timing there, so it's all not only about a growth process, but it's also about timing. Is there a growth process involved in that objects that you see over there? Not necessary, but it is. You can see a form that has these loose ends. That's almost the F. These loose ends which hang together as a form. A form is forming, L. It's part of an environment with a loose effect, actually a loose form as well, and it is connected to something that is really not the same thing anymore. It's connected somewhere. That's the G, that's the expression of G, as I have explained it more than often in my book. Are these, I hope these letter combinations were clear enough. My point for this video was actually that your mind very quickly already chooses out what is important. What is important here? What do I need? What do I need to connect? What is the end effect of something? So the end effect, the S and the G. What do I need to connect? Where is it connected in O? In the environment. What am I connecting? The F with the L, so it is the loose end of forming a material. You can do it very quickly if you want. You can have the associations. Don't be distracted too much by the theory. Just try to have the focus as quickly as possible. This scheme should help. The scheme should help to understand any word where the mind is putting its mind to it when expressing that word, when choosing that word. Nevertheless, I still need to add something because the last word was already losing it slightly in the interpretation. You have to I also myself have to refocus a little bit what did happen here really. The difference between the focus of the vowels should be very considerate what it is about. If the A is used, we're talking about the first region. We're talking about something which simply is a mindset of a focus of this is what I'm talking about. The O is something else, which is actually, now I add more than the environment itself. So I add everything that can still be connected to it. Mostly you need time for it. But it's actually also the space which comes to it. After the object you have the space, and the space is an invitation to do something with it at a certain time, but not necessarily immediately. So the O is the basics of the space in which you can do something at some point or another in time. So that's why the time aspect is there. So if you have an object with the O form, doesn't necessarily says that it is something that needs to develop over time. No, it just says there is a moment in which you will use it differently. There's a moment in which it is differently. So not at all moments it has the same meaning. While in A it always has the same meaning. It's there from here to there. So the flash, it is also related for us with time, but it's the object from here to here, there. And why it is involved in time? Because it's about the interaction with the S and the H in space. It's an interaction in space with us at a certain point in time and space, but the object itself is A. In Flash it's A, it's there from here to there, and it's there everywhere. Flush, it is an object as well, but it's an object which is associated with the whole aspects of the space around it, and the space around it is an invitation where you can do something with. The flush is an invitation. Yeah, like you have it on the fair. On the fair you have a flush, and you want to have it, and at some point or another you could maybe pull it. That's it's the invitation there, the invitation in the environment. So the S in the end, the loose end at the end, with the H is in the spatial references of connections that you can make there. The last part is about connections, and the real connections that you can make there are present. They are present in the space. That's how you have to interpret it. It's with S and H as the loose ends where you can do something with. You can pull it, you can do something. It has a function in time, in space, in the spatial references, with written as S and G. I'm not sure if I pronounce it well in English. It's this G is it has another direction, so it goes to another direction. It is connected with something else, something more than the object itself. So that's how the way how you have to interpret it, and I hope now it's a bit more clear already. So in basics, you had the L as the form, the fl with the all these different directions that hang together in L, in the form that is forming itself in the environment, in an environment that is an invitation, as always, to do something with it, to have a process with it, whatever you want to do with it. S is the effect of it, that it will have somewhere where you make the connections with H or with G, it doesn't matter. That's the way how you have to associate the flush. That wasn't the easiest word to end the video with, but I hope it was clear enough as well. Anyhow, this was another demonstration of Gerald Johan van Waas. Thanks for watching. This video will be added to the list on geraldjohanvanwaas.online. There's a YouTube channel too. You can subscribe to it if you want to have more updates. Thanks again. Bye-bye.